And I just want to put a little asterisk on how I really relate to this system of human design, which is to say that I am not dogmatic about it. I don't have human design tattooed on my heart or on my forehead. It's not something that I wear all the time, though it is something I've been studying and living in for almost 7 years come May, but rather something that has extraordinarily changed my perspective on the world and provided infinite clarity on what was otherwise often very confusing for me. I'm the kind of person that has always been trying to understand why people are the way that they are and why I'm feeling the way that I am around certain people throughout my life. And human design has given me that language. And I want to give that language of understanding of the world around us to other people. Because, newsflash, we don't exist in a vacuum. We exist in a social world. That's why this is social alchemy, because we want to alchemize and optimize all of our social interactions so that we can get the marrow and the nectar out of this beautiful, juicy life and move further and further away from the not selves and also doubt, confusion, and embrace the mystery that is life without being so in our heads about why it's happening. That is my impetus for explaining more of this in a longer form. I'm so passionate about it, but I'm not prescriptive about it. I so know that I'm speaking about this on a podcast, but I also would love to dive deeper into you and hold you in your wholeness and your uniqueness in a one-on-one container. And that's really my specialty, going deep with you, teaching you this, and also bringing in the charts of your loved ones so that we can really cross-pollinate and really examine the dynamics that are happening. It's fun, it's deep, it's beautiful, and it works. I'm so excited to talk to you guys about one of the core foundational pieces of human design, which, if at the very least you know nothing about human design, but you know the foundational pieces of all of the types, you will know so much. Now, of course, we can go way deeper, but the vast majority of you guys, when I put out a poll about this on my Instagram, said, I want to know about the types. Tell me all about the types. So, this episode right here is dedicated to the foundational ingredients, plus some textbook definitions and some lived experience that I have in close observation with all of these types about human design. And I'm so excited to share all of it with you. Now, I'm going to go in a little bit of an intuitive chronological order. I put air quotes around that because there really is no chronological order. But what I'm going to do this in is an order of most prevalent in our population size. So, just to give you a little overview, our types we have 5 of them in human design. And they are the 5 headliners that everyone on this planet kind of shuffles into. Now, from that headline, it's almost kind of like your surname, but you have a first name, and that creates a lot more definition, uniqueness, granularity about who you are, who you be, and how people feel you. But your type is really like on the surface chemistry or not between people. We have 5 types overall. There are generators, manifesting generators, manifestors, projectors, and reflectors. Now, I can imagine what all of those names sound like if you're hearing them for the first time. And so I'll just say, if you want to know what you are, I recommend going to myhumandesign.com. That's my favorite platform to look up charts. There is an app as well as a website. I use both interchangeably, and I highly recommend you look yours up there, as well as maybe 2 or 3 of your loved ones. So, what you're going to need to do that is you're going to need your birthday, the time you were born, in the city and state, or the city and the country that you were born in. Okay. So, once you have those, look it up. And one of the first things you'll see is one of those 5 types. Now, let's start with one of the more common types in the population, which are generators. Generators are about 30% of the population, 30 to 35, and they have a very warm and enveloping aura. Our generators are here to do what lights them up. They have an abundance of energy, a ton of light, a ton of magnetism and radiance. But evolutionarily speaking, they started working for other people a long, long, long time ago and doing stuff for other people that doesn't light them up simply because they have the energy available to. So if you're listening to this and you know a generator in your life, or you damn well know that when you actually don't want to do something, you may do it anyways, simply because you feel like nobody else can do it the way that you could do it, or you feel obligated to because someone asked you to do it, or you infer or assume that someone's asked you to do it. Those are huge pitfalls for generators. Okay. Huge pitfalls, assuming that they have to be the one to do it. And when we give our generator friends permission to do what it is that they want to do, watch out, world. They can be lit up indefinitely. And that's actually what the world needs. The world needs lit up generators who are so passionate and so focused and so awake and alive that that becomes the service behind the actual service that they're doing. Let me know if that resonates with you or not. Now, the signature self for all generator types, generators and manifesting generators, is satisfaction. I'm going to let that word simmer for a second. Satisfaction. Now, what does it mean to be truly satisfied? What does it mean to have a satisfying day? Yeah, there's a feeling there, there's a resonance there. A satisfying meal, oh, it's not too much, it's not too little, it's a little nourishing, it's fulfilling, it's, you had a little drink, a little app, satisfying. But it's often the conversation that goes along with that meal or the space that you are in. Now, those few extra ingredients, I think, really build for a satisfying experience for generators and manifesting generators. And I want to encourage you guys to use that word more, because the signature self represents the highest self, the most natural, the most easeful, authentic self. And often what we're striving for without really acknowledging it as generators is, oh, I just want to be satisfied. Is that too much to ask for? I just want to have a satisfying day. I want to have a satisfying life. I want to have satisfying conversations. I want to feel satisfied. And so start using that word in your everyday vocabulary. And if you are not a manifesting generator or generator, offer it up to those people in your life who are. Because what that word does is it encompasses and ties a bow around many experiences that we're all chasing. Now, on the flip side of that, we have a not self. A not self is a place, I mean, it's in the word. It's when we are feeling this specific frequency in this word, we are not ourselves. And therefore, we should really pause, take some space, and not make decisions or move from our not self. That's often similar to a shadow, or like where did I go? I don't know. I was just here, but now I'm not feeling me. Now, the not self for generators and manifesting generators is frustration. Frustration, a frustrating conversation, a frustrating day at work, a frustrating technical difficulty. Oh, I know you know that this is sparking some memories in you, or maybe present experiences. Frustration hits the nail on the head of the way that generators and manifesting generators do not desire to feel. And they might often use lots of other words, lots of other fillers in order to encapsulate that feeling. And so if you're listening to this, offer frustration to them. It seems like you're frustrated. It seems like this day was really frustrating. It seems like this person really frustrates you. All of those offerings will often, like I said, sum up an experience that's otherwise hard to articulate. And it's the same thing for satisfaction. Both satisfaction and frustration aren't words that we use that often, but they encapsulate how we're feeling. So use them more, offer them more to people, and watch it bloom. Now let's do our manifesting generators. These are again about 30 to 35% of the population. And our manifesting generators are generators, I'd say, on steroids because they have a little sprinkle of manifester and then a whole lot of generator in them. And that's because what they're going to have that's different than a generator is they're going to have a motorized channel in their body to their throat. Now, that motorized channel could be their emotions. So that means that they are readily able to speak and communicate their emotions. Or it could be their heart. It means that they're really able to move their willpower, their ego, their drive to their throat and make stuff happen and make things manifest. Those are just a few examples. There's a couple other motor centers that could be creating that channel for manifesting generators. And I would encourage you to get a reading to look at that a little bit more deeply. But our manifesting generators are multi passionate and they are here to follow all of their passions, not just one. And what manifesting generators have often been conditioned to do, that's a little bit different than generators. Generators are conditioned to think that they have to help other people first and do things for other people before they can then be with their own passions and interests and the things that light them up. It seems almost selfish to them. Manifesting generators have been told or have this narrative that they have to pick one thing at some point. They have to pick their path and stick with it, and that they can't be ever evolving all of the things that they want to be, that they are. They can't have all of these interests. They don't make any sense when you put them all together. Into every manifesting generator, or ManiGen is the shorthand, or MG, you can call them anything like that. I always offer them to drop in as frequently as possible until it's really embodied, the concept that I love to teach, the golden thread. Now, the golden thread is so crucial to manifesting generators because it weaves together all of their lived experiences that maybe don't make sense to the outside world, but really do make sense to them in their lived experience. And when you thread all of those things together, whether it makes sense right away or not, you recognize that everything that comes from you is meant for you, and that nothing that you're interested in can ever be that disconnecting. So, manifesting generators, we want to encourage them to be multidisciplinary, to be extraordinarily passionate, and also give them permission to pick things up and put them down. The gentleman who taught me human design is a manifesting generator, and he told me that when his mom was raising him, if he wanted to learn guitar, she bought him a guitar but kept the receipt. If he wanted to take horseback riding lessons, she booked him one but didn't buy a pack. And she let him sample each of those experiences that he was really interested in, but didn't put him all in on it, because the urge, the desire to play guitar or to ride a horse doesn't mean that he has to now become a guitarist or a horseback rider in order for the experience to be worthwhile and give him more information and data on who he is and how he wants to be in the world. And that is being a manifesting generator in a nutshell. Go try it, go experience it, go taste it, go feel it, go see how that color looks on you. Go make it with your hands and then tell me how it is, instead of that block. I can't do that because, well, I work in corporate. I can't be a ceramicist. I have a big girl job. But really, underneath all of that, the heart always wants to do many things, and that's a manifesting generator. Now, after our generators and manifesting generators, we have our third type, our projectors. And our projector friends are about 15 to 20% of the population. And projectors have so much variety, depth, and potential in their charts. So I'm going to speak about projectors generally speaking, but know that if you have a couple of projectors in your life, they can operate completely differently and sometimes feel a little bit more like a generator or a manifesting generator than your typical projector. And then some are also really textbook projector. So I'm going to speak a little bit of both and add as much color and nuance as I can while still keeping this level 101, and encourage you to dive deep into your chart with me in a session. I love working with projectors. I also love working with relationships between Manny gens or generators and projectors because there's some kinship and then also some differences that are make for a really passionate relationship. So our projectors, they are different than our manifesting generators and generators in the sense that they actually don't run off of full battery packs. And they don't run off of things that are lighting them up or lots of passions. They actually run off of being really intuitive guides, incredible leaders, so insightful. And really, I consider them like the saying that comes from My Big Fat Greek Wedding. If you've seen that movie, you know what an iconic movie. Honestly, they just don't make them like that anymore. I really loved that movie. But projectors are the neck that's actually turning the head any way they want to. And that's because projectors are such great people because they understand and are often a lot more sensitive and attuned to the world around them and the subtleties that make people who and how they are. Projectors are really aware of. And at the core of that, they're really great at, they have a knack for recognizing the gifts and talents in other people. And underneath all of that is a deep sensitivity and a desire to be seen for all that they are and all that they bring to the table. And they often end up having to cosplay as generators and manifesting generators, as 60% of the population around them, maybe even 70, are generators and manifesting generators who are so capable and working so hard and just doing whatever they want and being super passionate that projectors can feel a little bit more like, who am I if I don't have tons of energy and tons of charisma all the time? Or if I feel a little bit more inconsistent in that. And really what I would say is projectors are here to offer their incredible guidance and insights, but really when there's space for them, when there's an invitation. It's a huge part of owning projector energy is knowing that sometimes you're not for everyone. And sometimes your incredible advice is not going to be heeded until the exact moment comes. Our projectors are really sensitive to recognition and are feeling most successful. That's their signature self, actually, is success, successfulness. And that comes often with recognition. And so your projector friends, coworkers, bosses, peers, siblings, lovers, kids, parents, what they really often need in order to keep serving, in order to keep showing up and offering their incredible presence, insights, and intuition is recognition. Words of affirmation go a long way. And you can keep that surface level, but I would also encourage you to go deeper and tell your projector friends that you're so grateful for the way that they show up for you. And you're so grateful for the full presence they have when they're with you. Projectors also have a very focused and penetrating aura. And so, in my lived experience and by the books, projectors really are best one on one. So, if you have a projector friend in your life that you're feeling a little disconnected from, it might be because you haven't had one on one time with them in a while, but you've been having a lot of group time. Everybody wants a projector conversation when they're in the room, but it's important to carve out that one on one time so that you really get to be focused on and penetrated by their amazing aura and also able to receive all of their insights. They are so special. Now, they're not self when they're not getting recognition, not feeling successful, not feeling seen or valued. The not self is bitterness. I'm going to let that word sink in for a minute. Bitterness. This is a word that is often a little difficult at first for most projectors to hear because it's not an everyday word by any means. And in fact, bitterness it hits the nail on the head similarly to frustration, but it carries a different frequency to it, doesn't it? Bitterness can happen for projectors whenever that recognition or lack of recognition has gone on for such a long time that the projector begins to feel dissonant and turned off, sour, necrotic, spoiled almost, expired in their interactions with people. It's almost like there's an offline quality to them. And you, as a projector listening to this, might think of a few times when things were all going to plan, and then all of a sudden something shifted, and you watched that shift happen and hoped that it wouldn't continue in the way that it did, but it did. And it made you bitter. And it might have made you bitter about that whole organization or that whole hobby, that whole group of people. And that bitterness is like kind of turning a cold shoulder and not really being open to it again. And that's your not self. That's a sign that you actually need to express your needs for communication, your needs to be seen and recognized for all that you do and to be rewarded appropriately. And by the way, you're not asking for much. You're not asking for much at all. So, for your projector friends, family, loved ones, make sure that you're recognizing them all the time, as much as you possibly can. Special beings. Now, our fourth type are manifestors, and manifestors make up less than 10% of the population. They are our second rarest type, and our manifestors are similar to projectors in that they don't have tons of energy and output all the time, but they actually really work in rest and work cycles. Rest and work cycles. So manifestors and are actually here and have this unbelievable gift of manifestation, of being able to pull down a dream, an idea from the sky and make it happen. Call it in and then have it appear at their doorstep. And I'm talking big, massive manifestation, stuff that most of us can't even fathom happening. A manifester can make happen extraordinarily quickly. And I've seen it happen time after time after time. Now, the thing about manifestors is actually that they're very powerful, even as children. Like as very, very small beings, they often have powerful feelings, powerful minds, powerful auras, powerful presence. And so, for that reason, the world can kind of keep them small. Leaders, teachers, parents might have said that you're too much, that you feel too much, you talk too much, you are too much, you express too much, and wanting to put them into a box. This is where they are similar to manifesting generators who aren't meant to be in a box, but even more so because it's really about exactly how they're felt and how they're perceived. So there's an undertone of a lot of tenderness around full authenticity and expression for manifestors. And that's male and female, really, both. And because of that, there can be a hard time to be authentic around people that they don't really know or feel safe or trust. But in actuality, manifestors are so extraordinarily tribal and here to lead us and here to bring us into new frontiers, and new experiences, and that they make incredible CEOs. They found incredible companies. They are ingenious at creating products and spaces and experiences that we need, that we desire, that solve problems that we've had for a long time. In order for them to own all of that, we need to accept them and push them to the front of the room, sometimes before they're ready, because we can feel their power and their intelligence. Our manifestors' signature self is the amazing frequency and word of peace, meaning as they rule, as they create, as they lead, they desire nothing more than to be embodying the energy of peace, of being peaceful leaders, peaceful creators. And their not self is anger. And anger is a big word in our society, right? It's a big feeling. And it can be stuffed down so far across all five types, of course, but especially stuffed down for manifestors. Because anger actually holds, I would dare say, alchemizes their magic, their work, their offering to the world. And if they can feel their anger, they can almost begin to see actually what they're most passionate about and what they're able to bring forth or bridge in this world. So it's really, really, really important that manifestors learn from their not selves, but they also allow their not self to come out and play and be pervasive when it needs to. They learn a lot from that anger. And then that peace comes in and it just settles in and it can just, it's almost like a, sunshine hitting a meadow. How peaceful is that? And that peace can just be there for a long time, but it can't quite settle in if the anger hasn't been fully released and processed. Our manifestors are such incredibly loyal, fierce friends and loved ones. And we want to encourage them to to hear them out on what they're most passionate about, what really lights a fire under them, what really ticks them off, what they could just read about and explore for hours and hours and hours. And we want to encourage them to create solutions um, about those subjects for the rest of us to really steep in instead of just hold them as facts and intellectual data. We want to encourage our manifestors to create, be with that information. And then we also want to hold lightly in our awareness that manifestors are beings that are really creative and really focused in their work cycles. And then they might also have, like I said, those rest cycles in which they're a little bit more dormant. And that might be when they're processing either deep anger, deep old stuff, or they're actually really just kind of steeping in the peace of life, peace over earth. And not hold them, not be frustrated with them when they're like that. Give them a long leash. Manifestors are the least tolerable of bad leaders, of awful work environments, because they are so opinionated and strong and sturdy in what is good and what is right. And so if something is up in a work environment, your manifestor friends are out of there, and they should be, because that sets the tone for the rest of the people about what is right and what is wrong and what is accepted when it shouldn't be. So we have a lot to learn from our manifestor friends. And then finally, our fifth type are our reflectors. And reflectors are less than 1% of the population. Our reflectors are so amazing. I don't know many because there's only less than 1%, but the few that I do know are really, really, really special beings. Let me tell you about them. Now, the name itself actually says so much about what reflectors do and how they are in this world and what the experience is like of being around them. And that is that they are the clearest, deepest mirror that you have ever experienced in your life. And that means that they reveal to you how you see yourself and how you're feeling. And what they do mechanically is when they come across another, they are so sensitive, they are so wide open that they literally absorb and become another in that brief moment of interaction or that long friendship or intimate relationship. And so what they reflect to you is you. And you know that age old saying that whenever you point a finger at another, there are four pointing back at you. That is what reflectors bring to this earth. And I feel like that's really where it came from a long time ago, is that these reflectors started distilling that whatever you think about another person is actually what you think about yourself. Whatever judgments, criticisms, frustrations, disappointments you have with another are actually yours and yours to process. So we can think of them like the mirrors. They're extremely wise, they're super sensitive, they are very unique, they are very passionate too. And they really have a love for others. And they can often be very empathetic and have this incredible ability to read and understand others. But what we want to make sure that we encourage our reflector people in our lives to do is to not take on other people's personas, other people's stuff, but to really practice what I call energetic hygiene, which is unplugging of people, circumstances, experiences from them so they don't carry it in their body. They are also really interesting in the fact that truly a sole purpose, or I guess a purpose of theirs on this life, on this planet, is to be reflective of others, to show them what they need to work on. And sometimes a common thing that comes up for reflectors is throughout their journey in their life, they are so sensitive and so attuned to others that they may struggle with addiction at some point. They might feel so much that they get caught up in the wrong crowd, that they get swept into the wrong sea, and it kind of absorbs them or swallows them up for a while until they really emerge with coping skills to really deal with how sensitive they are and to own it and to become masters of the sensitivity and reflection and to not take it so personally. Um, their signature self is such a special signature self, and it's actually surprise. Now, surprise is so delightful to reflectors because it is like it's something new comes into the mirror, something unexpected, something totally new. And it can be actually really hard to surprise them, but it is a love language and it means the world when something surprising in a positive way happens. So it means you could plan a party for them, you can create a special dinner, you can leave loving notes around. But little surprises mean so much, especially to reflectors who are just extraordinarily sensitive and tuned into their environment all the time. So that's their signature self. And when they're in a place where they are not only receiving surprises, but also allowing themselves to be so blank every day, so new, so fresh, so clean, that the world can surprise them, that people can surprise them. That's a signature self. That's where you want to encourage them to be. Not too much in the mind, not too much in the future, not at all in the past, but really surprised and delighted by this human experience that they're having. Now, their not self is disappointment. Can't we all relate a little bit to disappointment? Disappointment is, it carries a lot, doesn't it? When you're disappointed, it's immediately I think of when a parent says, I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed. Girl, you done bad when that happens. You done made your mama disappointed. But when a reflector is disappointed, hell hath no mercy like that. Oh. So we don't want to disappoint our reflector friends. And we want to know that whatever happens, whatever they communicate after they're disappointed is their not self. It's not really them. None of us are ourselves when we are in our not self. And that is frustration, bitterness, anger, and disappointment. And those words can really encapsulate, based off of the type of the person that you're talking to, feelings that we want to encourage them not to make decisions from. Not to make decisions from. Don't make decisions from frustration, anger, bitterness, or disappointment. Now, what you can do is make decisions from surprise, from satisfaction, from peace, and from success. Those are the safe places we want to operate from that create more of those feelings. You want more of those feelings in your life? Make decisions from them. That is a little bit of information today on the 5 types in human design: generators, manifesting generators, projectors, manifestors, and reflectors. Let me know if there's more information you want on these. I'm happy to go even deeper. I didn't really touch on mechanics all that much. I didn't really talk about authority or strategy, but those are coming. And I would love to invite you to follow me on Instagram at Social Alchemy Institute. I'm talking about human design all the time over there. And I just want to put a little asterisk on how I really relate to this information, this system of human design, which is to say that I am not dogmatic about it. I don't have human design tattooed on my heart or on my forehead. It's not something that I wear all the time, though it is something I've been studying and living in for almost 7 years come May. but rather something that has extraordinarily changed my perspective on the world and provided infinite clarity on what was otherwise often very confusing for me. I'm the kind of person that has always been trying to understand why people are the way that they are and why I'm feeling the way that I am around certain people throughout my life. And human design has given me that language. And I want to give that language of understanding of the world around us to other people. Because, newsflash, we don't exist in a vacuum. We exist in a social world. That's why this is social alchemy, because we want to alchemize and optimize all of our social interactions so that we can get the marrow and the nectar out of this beautiful, juicy life and move further and further away from the not selves and also doubt, confusion, and, and embrace the mystery that is life without being so in our heads about why it's happening. That is my impetus for explaining more of this in a longer form. I'm so passionate about it, but I'm not prescriptive about it. I so know that I'm speaking about this on a podcast, but I also would love to dive deeper into you and hold you in your wholeness and your uniqueness in a one-on-one container. And that's really my specialty, going deep with you, teaching you this, and also bringing in the charts of your loved ones so that we can really cross pollinate and really examine the dynamics that are happening. It's fun, it's deep, it's beautiful, and it works. I will see you guys on the next podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.